Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. Listener discretion is advised. Just recently, we witnessed the conclusion of Season 30 of The Ultimate Fighter on ESPN+, and I have the distinct privilege of being able to call several of those fighters friends. On today's episode of the podcast, I'm super excited for a two-time competitor on The Ultimate Fighter, Season 2 and Season 30. He also holds the distinction of being the oldest competitor in the Ultimate Fighter history. He's known for putting in the work every damn day. I have the pleasure of having the one and only Bobby Maximus on the show today. We're going to talk about Bobby's journey, and we're going to hopefully inspire you to put mind over matter. So hold your head up high and your middle finger higher. This is Caught on the Mic. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sitting across the one, Bobby Maximus. Love your website, Bobby. I love the idea that if you can empower yourself and unlock your potential in your mind, you can absolutely do anything. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for doing the show. It's been chaotic for the both of us this past couple of days. So how you feeling?
I feel good. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I get paid to do what I love, which I think, honestly, in today's day and age is, I'm going to use the word blessing. I'm not the most religious guy.
Right.
But I am blessed. I am fortunate. I am lucky, like whatever term you want to use to describe it, to wake up and do something I love every day. Like, we're in a country where there are millions of people who are stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic every day, going to work for a corporation that they don't care about, that would lay them off or cut them from their job in a minute.
Right.
Like, I realize I'm pretty damn, I'm living a good life. So I'm happy.
That's fantastic. For my listeners that don't know, Bobby was a competitor on both Season 2 and Season 30 of The Ultimate Fighter. He's a mixed martial artist, gym enthusiast, personal trainer, life coach, you name it. Every person that I have come in contact with that has come in contact with Bobby Maximus has nothing but positive things to say about you, sir.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your origin story and kind of how you came into mixed martial arts and what landed you where you're at today.
Yeah. So, it starts really when I was a kid. I was bullied fairly heavily. Now, I just want to put something out there. I think every single person in this world has been bullied to a degree by someone, somewhere. My experience was I couldn't make any of the good sports teams. I couldn't make the football team. I couldn't make the soccer team. I couldn't play hockey. I couldn't make the basketball team. On the bus every day, I was given a wedgie. People drew on my face with markers, punched me in the face, beat me up. It kind of all came to a head for me when I was, 14 years old. These four hockey bullies, kids that played hockey. I didn't play hockey, so I wasn't popular. They beat me up and left me with a broken collarbone. I didn't really know what to do after that. Like, I got to stop this from happening. So I joined the wrestling team. Like, I guess I'll go there. And it was funny because in Canada, where I'm from, on the wrestling team, there was no cuts. Like, they would take any body that they could, and I used the word body, I didn't mean anybody, any body that they could just throw, beat on, do whatever to. So my first year of wrestling, I lost every match, probably about 40 matches. My next year, I won 1 out of 40. And so I wasn't very good. I decided that if I was going to get better, I should probably go to the weight room and try to get strong. So I kind of found myself in the weight room. I was the person that got pinned under a 45-pound barbell. I was the person that didn't know what to do. Luckily, some older kids there who couldn't be bothered to bully me helped me, showed me the ropes, stuff like that. And I started getting stronger because I would just show up every day. And then I kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And then I actually started to turn the L's into W's in wrestling. And then I got pretty good. And I went on to have a very good university wrestling career, almost made the Olympics. And then met a guy named Sean Tompkins. Sean Tompkins is a fairly legendary MMA coach. He coached Mark Hominick, Sammy Stout, Chris Horodecki, myself, Christoph Szynski, Chris Clements. Like we had a great stable out of Canada, and I was pretty good, I guess. And so I kind of found myself in the UFC.
Yeah,
and I didn't have a big record. Like I was in the UFC at 3-0, and so I kind of found myself there not by accident, I guess, but literally. And how PG do I have to keep this show?
Oh, you don't have to be PG at all, brother.
So this is how I started fighting. I was in Good Life Fitness, which is a Canadian Golds, I guess, if you will, or a 24/7 fitness, something like that. And Sean Tompkins was introduced to me, and he said, "Yeah, I heard you're really good at wrestling." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty good." And he said, "My guys need to know how to wrestle more. Do you want to come out and start training? Train for what?" It's like mixed martial arts. I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, "It's like the UFC." I'm like, "Oh shit. Okay. I would love to do that. Let's go. That'll be fun." So then a little bit, I can't remember if it was 2 months, 3 months. He goes, "You might be pretty good at this. How would you like to fly out to Edmonton, which is in Canada,
right?
Punch somebody in the face, fuck some ring girls, get paid $500. And I'm like, fuck, sign me up. Like, what? Like, really? I'm going to get paid for this? This sounds great. And then I won a fight, and then won another fight, and then won another fight. And then all of a sudden, I'm on the Ultimate Fighter 2 and in the UFC. And so that's kind of how I got into that line of work, if you will.
In the time between the Ultimate Fighter 2 and the Ultimate Fighter 30, how much of the sport of mixed martial arts changed?
Oh, wow. I mean, it's changed tremendously. The way I explain it is it went from a hobby for most people to a fully bona fide professional sport. You see, back when I did it, people had other jobs. They had full-time gigs. They couldn't make their full income off of just fighting.
Right.
And you could be good at wrestling and go win. You could be good at striking and go win. You could be good at jiu-jitsu and go win. Somewhere along the line, you can't have a full-time job anymore, and you have to be great at, not just good, great at all three. So it's really, really evolved into a genuine athletic competition, if you will.
I'm glad you said that. That is the same exact description that I give to people. My show is not strictly MMA or strictly UFC. I have everybody from all walks of life on my podcast because I'm really interested in the journey, everybody's personal journey. And when people that typically don't have an interest in MMA, they have preconceived bias based on what it was compared to what it's become. And I always say that same exact explanation. Yep. Especially right now. I mean, you have people in the UFC that have actually grown up with MMA for the first time, where you and I are the same exact age. And, it was brand new when we were in high school.
Yeah, it was a new thing. And so it's really funny that you say that, because the cast of The Ultimate Fighter was announced at Ultimate Fight Night 200. I fought in Ultimate Fight Night 5. Just to put that in perspective. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. One of the things that I found compelling on this season of The Ultimate Fighter was the mentorship role that you seem to take on in the house. Explain your philosophy behind that.
So, me fighting, it's not my only gig. Like you talked about my origin story. I've done a lot of other stuff. And no matter what I've done, I've been a teacher, I've been a police officer, I've worked as a life coach. I train people. I do consulting for people. Everything I've ever done has been in some way an act of service to help other people. At the same time, running parallel to that, I'm very cognizant that without my UFC career and without the platform that Dana White and the UFC gave me, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so if you look at, I've appeared in Men's Health hundreds of times.
Right.
I've done some acting. I've done some modeling. I've spoken at some of the biggest companies in the world. I've had the opportunity to do some incredible things. I've worked with almost every tier 1 asset group within the United States military. I've had these great things, and I don't know if any of it would have happened without the UFC. So I am very, very grateful to that organization for giving me a platform to really build a dream life.
Right.
And being in the house as a 43-year-old that has been in the UFC, also has a very large social media presence. I've done business stuff. I make a lot of money. There was people who had questions like, how do I quit my job and fight? How do I get sponsorship? How do I deal with the TV stuff? And I am happy to help people.
Right.
Like I don't take things personal. I generally don't hold grudges. I mean, unless you deserve it, because I can be petty. But I generally don't dislike people, and I generally want to help and be a good person.
Right.
And so I really got along with most people who were on the show, and am willing to answer any question that's really just asked of me.
Yeah. It shines through. I've had Caitlin on, I've had Zach on, I've had Claire on, and your name has come up most recently with Caitlin and Claire. And we talked about Zach's social media presence, how it changed after The Ultimate Fighter. That's definitely something that Caitlin credits you with helping him with.
Yeah. I mean, we actually talked about that, Zach and I.
Yeah.
Because Zach and I are similar people. We were both cops. We both have kids. And, I kind of gave him in the house a breakdown of how to grow on social media. It's not as easy as it sounds, but like, here's the deal. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to focus on. Here's what you need to push. Because I would love to see him do well.
Yeah.
I would actually love to see every single person in the house do well or do better.
Yeah. Again, that was something that was great watching this last season. Is it wasn't necessarily red and black for you. You were there just to be, the good dude. I mean, obviously you're going to represent your team, but you helped everybody in a different way, shape, or form.
Well, and here's the other reality. There's no such thing as teams.
Right.
That's bullshit. Like even in the NFL or the NBA, you can get traded in the middle of the night and read about it on Twitter. Like this whole sports thing about teams and loyalty, and it's all bullshit. It's a business.
Right.
That's all it is. And by the way, when it comes to professional athletes, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade meeting in the playoffs against each other, they're having a drink the night before the game together. They're having wine. Tom Brady in the offseason he's talking to people on other teams. They're hanging out. They're going to functions together. I've got all kinds of NBA guys and NFL guys through my gym. They all play on different teams, but they're all friends and they share training knowledge and they help each other and give each other business opportunities. Like this whole thing about us versus them, north, south, east, west, black, white, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of bullshit and an illusion. And so, so there's like no real division. Now, here's the other thing. We were in a house for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
None of us are teammates anymore. Like regardless of, because you brought up Caitlin. Caitlin is one of my close friends.
Yeah.
But he's not Team Nunez anymore. Like I got the Team Pena jersey on right now, and I am super proud to be, part of that team on that show. But when we get out, like I'm closer to Caitlin than most of the people on my team. Why? She's in fitness. She's got a big social media presence. She's got a supplement company. She's a good human.
Right.
Like why wouldn't, and by the way, we're both in Utah. So like, why wouldn't we be friends.
Right.
What I mean? Actually, for my premiere party for the show, she came. No one else did, but she was there. So like, it is what it is. We're just 16 athletes in the house that went through the same crucible, if you will. And that's how I looked at it.
So we talked a little bit about how you have helped other people, but how have some of the people that you've had in your life helped you?
You know, it's interesting to get that question asked of me, because I wouldn't be here without some key people in my life. Like some of the older kids in the weight room that I mentioned that helped me out. There's one kid, Peter Xavier, who probably doesn't even remember, but gave me some advice. My first wrestling coach, Eugene Vinci, he didn't kick me off the team, even though I was terrible. He put effort into me. My wrestling coaches in university, Sean Tompkins, Shaw Franco, who was another fight coach of mine who really, really helped me. I mean, without these people who helped me fairly selflessly, I wouldn't be where I am. And I think that if you were to look back on your life and everything you've done, like for the listener out there, there are some key pivotal people that you would not be where you are without their help. There's actually a really good book I like. It's called 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. He's a fairly famous sports writer. And the whole premise of the book is when you go to heaven, you meet 5 people who fundamentally changed your life. Some of the people, you're very cognizant of the fact they changed your life.
Right.
Some of the people, maybe you never met directly, but had a profound influence on your life. So I'm very aware that I am where I am because of the love, the care, the attention of some other people who I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. In an iron sharpens iron world, who are some of the people that are holding your hands to the fire right now and challenging you to do better tomorrow than what you were today?
I mean, I think there's groups of people. The number one group is my children.
Yes.
And they don't actively hold my feet to the fire,
right?
Or hold my hands to the fire. But being a dad is a huge responsibility. And you realize that kids learn by watching what you do, not listening to what you say. And so the importance of being a father makes me try to act better in every aspect of my life. So that would be group number one. Group number two, I would describe as my peers. You know, it's you see somebody like Zach, you see somebody like Caitlin. I believe they're going to be world champions one day. And seeing their drive, their determination, their hustle, their grit, their sacrifice. Like I'll say this about Caitlin. No one on the show knew that her dad died. She didn't tell anybody. And we talked about it a little bit. There was times on the show I thought she felt not really there, maybe sad, like just moments where it was like, wonder if she's okay.
Right.
Turns out her dad died. Do you know how fucking strong that woman is to go through that?
Yes.
Like by herself, not able to talk to anybody. Like, holy shit. Like she's forever earned my respect for that. And I think in a different situation, maybe she wins this thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that's a pretty heavy cross to bear, if you will. So just like to be inspired by somebody like that. So my peers to be able to, man, she's incredibly strong. Like, what am I complaining about? Like, I feel like I had to face these obstacles, but it's nothing compared to what she did. So super inspiring human being. So my peers could, have that category. And the third is I look up to people that are doing the thing in the real world, like the work ethic of a LeBron James or a Tom Brady, the work ethic of somebody like The Rock,
right?
The creativity of somebody like a Gary Vee, or, and some people know who he is, some people don't. But I mean, I do look up to other people who are outside of my circle.
Right.
Because I think there's a tremendous amount of people out there, even and it's funny, I've taken heat for this before, but even somebody like Kim Kardashian,
Right.
like whatever you want to say about her, there was a point in her adult life she was worth about $4 million. She is a multi-billion-dollar business right now.
Yeah.
Like people ask me sometimes, they're like, if you could have one person for a day to help you with your brand and social media, who would it be? Kris Jenner.
Right.
It's Kim Kardashian. It's Kylie Jenner. Like they've turned essentially nothing into, I mean, how many billions of dollars are in that family right now? And so you can take a lot of advice, a lot of inspiration from these other people.
Yeah. Yeah. In a social media driven world, what doesn't click with a lot of people is that on social media, you are the product.
Yeah.
How do you take the algorithms to a common user off the street to want to invest in your product? What kind of content are you creating so they want to invest in that?
No, absolutely. So it's something that I think that if that's going to be your business, you might as well look at who the alpha dogs of the industry are.
Right.
And I'll tell you right now, like you list them out: Kris, Kylie, Kendall, Kim,
right,
Chloe. I mean, I don't know what order, but they're all in the top 10. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's something that you wish you would have known whenever you got into the world of MMA and becoming a public figure as a result?
You know, I wish back in the day, there was two things that I would change. One is personal, one's professional. Professional, I wish I would have promoted a lot more and understood the value of social media, like understood the power of Facebook, understood the power of Instagram when it first came out, understood the power of Twitter. I'd have a much bigger following right now. And that's, I mean, hindsight's 2020. I don't know if anyone could understand where we are right now in society and the importance of social media. So I don't feel necessarily bad about it, but it's something I wish I could take back. The second one is I wish I would have just enjoyed experiences more. You know, I think when I was fighting when I was younger, I was so focused on winning, so focused on the chase, so focused on being successful that I didn't take pictures with all the people I was with. I didn't just sit and breathe it in and soak it in a little bit more and enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for personal reasons, I wish I could go back and just relive some moments.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that. That makes perfect sense. So what are some of the unique skills in recent years that have helped you be successful?
So, I mean, I'll tell you, people ask me a lot. They're like, what is the most, you're in fitness, you're in MMA, you train military people, you speak at corporations. What's the most important thing you've ever done? And I say my honors English degree. Because I learned to write. I learned to compose good sentences, good paragraphs. I can write copy professionally. Like in a strange way, it really, really helped me. And it separates me from the pack because I can write a good Instagram caption. If Men's Health calls me tonight and says, can we get a 1,000-word article tomorrow? I can bang that out in an hour or two. Like it's given me the ability to do so much more. And I really think that in today's day and age, and LeBron James is the model for this, you're not just an athlete, you're a media company.
Yes.
And no matter where you are, you're making hundreds of millions or you're making thousands. I think by being your own media company, you can always earn more.
Yeah.
You can always be better. And so writing is certainly a skill that has helped me and that I continue to develop and continue to work on.
Yeah. Fantastic. So what's something that Bobby Maximus does to decompress?
I play Magic the Gathering. That's one.
Yes.
That's where Zach and I hit it off too, because we're huge nerds. So I love thinking card games.
Right.
You know, and I play a lot of video games, frankly.
Yeah.
You know, I love to do, it's actually important. People talk about self-care. Self-care, I mean, It could be having a bath. It could be going to get a pedicure. It could be playing with your barbecue or whatever you want to do.
Right.
But to me, real self-care is doing something every single day that is completely non-productive, that's completely frivolous, that you do because you love it.
Yeah.
And so every day I try to do something, and usually it's Magic the Gathering, video games, watching some sports shows. Like I love sports talk type stuff. I'm a huge fan of Colin Cowherd, Joy Taylor, Marcellus Wiley, Emmanuel Acho. Like I watch all the shows. And it's frivolous entertainment. Like it doesn't affect my business. It doesn't help me in any way. It's just a way for me to just relax and do something I love. Because in our lives, we're so focused on being productive. Like somewhere we've been brainwashed. Like that's the point of life, to be productive. Like, fuck that, man. I want to take some time and really, really enjoy myself.
So if you were to encapsulate all of this, what do you think your mission in life is?
To be better than yesterday.
Yes, sir.
It really is just to be better than yesterday in some way. It doesn't have to be a huge step forward, but like maybe a little better physically, maybe a little better spiritually, maybe a little bit kinder, maybe a little bit smarter, to just continually improve in some way. And if that's all you focused on, you're going to achieve all your dreams in a short period of time, rather than focusing on something that's miles away that you can't even see.
I agree. So what's on the forecast for you? What's coming up?
I don't really know. I kind of know. I'd love to fight again.
Yep.
I want to continue to build my brand. But when I say I don't really know, I say it tongue in cheek.
Right.
I'm in a lot of businesses. There's going to be a movie coming out in the fall that I acted in. I want to get more sponsors. I want to speak at more companies. I want to do more military work. Like there's a lot that I want to do. But I'll kind of see where it goes, because I'm open. I'm not driven down one path hard, if you will.
Yeah.
So I kind of take it as it comes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So one of my favorite questions to ask all of my guests as we start to wrap things up is, given everything that's happened the past 2.5 years, given the state of society, where it's at right now, what is your advice for making the world a better place?
I would say focus on yourself.
Yes.
So there's this idea that you're going to go out, you're going to help everybody, and blah, 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 blah. If all everyone in this world did was just work to better themselves, we'd have no more problems. Like it would literally, the problems would be solved in 30 days. Like if we all just tried to eat a little better, sleep a little more, be a little nicer to people, look after our things a little better, be a little bit more responsible. Oh my God, can you imagine the change that you'd see with 8 billion people doing that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, it'd be incredible. And so what I tell people is just focus on you. Focus on being stop worrying about what other people say, what other people think. Stop worrying about external stimuli. Just focus on being the best you that you can be.
Yes, for sure.
Like if you just focus on all the little things, I promise you, your business will be successful. Like it doesn't have to be that difficult.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And maybe your goal is like, I want to do $8 million in revenue. Great. Don't focus on that. Focus on the great customer service, the product. You focus on that, you'll make the $8 million easy.
Oh, absolutely. It's always the little details that matter.
Yeah. And that's all it is.
I share that mindset 100%. So where can my listeners find you online, sir?
So there's actually 2 ways you can get a hold of me. The first way is recommended. The second way, not so much. The first one, if you type Bobby Maximus into anything, Google, I don't know if Bing still exists, you put it in there, MySpace, Instagram, but I shouldn't say MySpace because now I sound like a 43-year-old contestant on The Ultimate Fighter 30. But
dude, I made the same reference to a younger guest the other day, and they're like, "It's not funny. You just sound old as fuck."
Hey, I am old as fuck.
Me too, dude.
Type Bobby Maximus into anything, and you will find me. The second way, it's not recommended because, listen, there's this myth in the world that like there's going to be someone to help you. And I just want to remind people that sometimes bad things happen to good people. There's this saying I tell my kids, who do you think, like, I get that you think you're going to be the hero of your little story, but who do you think God really favors in the equation? The spider or the fly? They're like, Dad, probably the spider. I'm like, all right. So just when you're stuck in the web, someone's not pulling you out. Anyway, if you go in your bathroom at midnight, turn the lights off and say Bobby Maximus into the mirror 5 times, I might appear. But I'm not responsible for my actions if you pull me through that portal that I'm going to come out of.
Well, I was just hoping that you'd show up and we'd grill some ribeyes and just have a good time.
You better hope if you go say the Bobby Maximus thing 5 times that you have a Traeger and you got lots of ribeyes.
Well, I'm going to try and get us both a lot of ribeyes. I'm going to tag Certified Piedmontese in this episode and be like, hey.
I actually last year ate 300 steaks.
Did you really?
That was my goal. I wanted to eat 300 steaks and I did it. I probably ate about 330, 340.
Oh my gosh. So you're pretty much strictly carnivore diet, aren't you?
No, I call it carnivore adjacent.
Got it.
So I actually don't think it's healthy from a physical standpoint or a psychological standpoint to go strict carnivore.
I agree.
Like, I want to enjoy. Here's the thing. I'm really into cooking. You know who Thomas Keller is?
No, I'm not familiar, but enlighten me.
One of the most famous chefs in the world. But I'll give you
yes, I know exactly who he is. Yeah.
French Laundry. I'll give you another example. Gordon Ramsay.
Sure.
You go to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant. I want to eat the potatoes he makes. If he makes a beef Wellington, I want to eat the crust. Like I want to indulge, right? I go on a trip to Italy. I want to eat the real spaghetti. And so for the most part, my diet is, call it meat, fish, chicken, eggs, but I do like some arugula. I do like some red berries. I do like some pizza. I do like some bread. I will have ice cream. So I call it carnivore adjacent because for the most part, 90% of my diet is clean, not processed animal type products. But there is that leeway for me to step out and have some fun.
Well, Bobby, I think the world's a better place with you in it, my friend. And I got to tell you, don't make any plans Wednesday night. I'm going to go say your name 5 times, but I'll have steaks handy and the Traeger fired up.
Better listen. If you don't have A5 Wagyu, don't call my name. I don't have time to be dealing with anything. You're going to laugh. I want to tell this story on air. My 5-year-old, he calls anything other than A5 Wagyu peasant meat. Stop.
Gotta love it, dude.
Pretty fun.
Bobby, thanks for doing the podcast, man. I appreciate you.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Once again, I want to thank Bobby Maximus for doing the show today. You can find him online at www.bobbymaximus.com. You can also give him a follow on Instagram. He posts content almost daily. Since you're going down the social media rabbit hole, make sure you give Caught on the Mic a follow on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on TikTok. You could also visit me at www.caughtonthemic.com. I appreciate the follows and support. And right now I'm selling merchandise. Go to my Instagram bio, click the link in the bio, and buy yourself a t-shirt or a coffee mug. Make sure you give up those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, and now Spotify has a review platform as well. This has been Caught on the Mic with Michael Clark. I'm Michael Clark. Until next time, thank you.